Hi, I'm Mandi Glowen. I am an Associate Director on the EPICS team, and the EPICS team is the Career Support Office for the School of Communication students, and I specifically support the MSLCE students. The Professional Development class is a 5-week class, and we sort of hit on basics of, the professional development. How do you frame it, nuts to bolts? And some of the main themes of the class are sort of vision, values, what's important to you in your career, how you sort of tell your story, talk about yourself. So some of those professional documents, like a resume and cover letter, but it's also really, how do I talk about myself? How do I frame myself? How do I brand myself as the professional that I want to be? And then it's about connection as well. How do I make connections to the industries and the areas that I'm interested in, and then the people that are doing that work? We all know, if you work in the creative industries, that they just work differently than what you think of as quote unquote traditional careers, right? The hiring is different. The way you build connections is different. And so I think that that's something that we really focus on in the class is how do we do a job search differently for the creative industries? How do you think through building your own business differently because it's going to be a creative, endeavor? One specific example of that is how I sort of talk about resumes in the class. I think that a lot of the students coming into the program, they're past performers or they're current performers, they're artists, they're writers, they're filmmakers. And what I've seen from students is they sometimes undervalue that on a resume because they don't think that it's important, or they don't really know how to put it in the resume and frame it and make it make sense for the direction that they're heading. Students want to work in the creative industries, and so the work that you're doing as an artist and a filmmaker or a creative needs to be centralized in a way on creative resumes than it wouldn't in sort of a traditional work resume. I think connection to industry in the course is critical. There's assignments where I'm literally requiring students to go out and engage in industry events, whether that be attending a conference, using your idea fund through the program to do that, having coffee with a professional, or doing what we call informational interviews. And those are just really casual conversations with people that are doing what you're interested in doing so that you can learn more. And then I often also bring in alumni to the class and people that have been where students were. I think that that's critical to sort of figuring out your path and hearing from the people that were sitting in your place maybe a year ago or 2 years ago and how they sort of made that transition. So when I program those panels, I'm always thinking about who's in the class, what are their areas of interest, what are their industries, and how can I connect them to alums that are doing similar work. My background is in higher ed and counseling, so I actually have a counseling degree and a psychology background, and I think that education has sort of allowed me to be really supportive to students, help them really think strategically and be a strategic thought partner when they're thinking about their career, their life, what they want next. Students are only here for a year, so it can be really challenging, I think, to make decisions. But my goal is really putting in structures and systems that they can use for their entire life. So in 5 years, if whatever they're doing is not working for them, they've learned in the class how to think through the process of figuring out what's next for me.